Hello and welcome again. In our previous video, we've already seen how Joshua prepared the people for the crossing, how God spoke to him, and how he reminded the Israelites that he was with them, just as he had been with Moses. Now it's time for them to step into the miraculous. In Joshua 3:14-17, we finally see the Israelites cross the Jordan River, but before we dive into the miracle, there's a deeper lesson for us in the timing of it all. So, in Joshua 3:14-15, the Israelites leave their tents and begin to cross the Jordan River, with the priests leading the way, carrying the Ark of the Covenant. Now, it's important to note that the river was swollen at this time. This wasn't just any river crossing. It was flood season, and the river was overflowing, making the crossing even more impossible in human terms. This is significant because, just like the Red Sea crossing, God chooses to part the water at the most impossible time. When the water is at its highest and most dangerous, God shows his power to make a way where there seems to be no way. In our own lives, it often feels like the hardest moments, the moments when things are at their most overwhelming, are when God shows up the most. When you feel like you're facing a flood of difficulties, remember that God can part the waters and lead you through even the most difficult circumstances. In verses 16-17, something miraculous happens. The waters coming down from above stood and rose up in a heap, cutting off the cities near Zarethan and the Sea of the Arabah, the Salt Sea. The water completely stopped flowing, and the Israelites were able to cross over on dry ground. This is a huge miracle. Not only did God stop the river, but he made sure the Israelites crossed on dry ground. This miracle wasn't just about getting them from one side to the other. It was about showing his power and his faithfulness. The priests stood firm on dry ground in the midst of the Jordan River, and the entire nation of Israel passed over, safe and dry. You might be wondering, why did God make the Israelites wait 3 days before crossing? Why wait until the river was swollen and difficult? And why does God sometimes make us wait for things to happen in our own lives? The 3-day delay isn't just a random number. In God's perfect timing, these 3 days were a time of preparation. It was a moment to consecrate the people, to build their trust, and to remind them that God would be leading them through the waters. In a similar way, in the New Testament, we see a similar delay in the story of Lazarus. When Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed 2 more days before going to him. Martha was frustrated, thinking Jesus had waited too long, but Jesus had a purpose. He wanted to show his glory and the power of resurrection. The delay wasn't because Jesus didn't care, it was because he had something greater in mind. In Romans 5:3-5, Paul says, "We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope." Sometimes God delays in our lives to develop endurance, character, and hope. The waiting season isn't wasted. It's part of God's preparation for what's coming next. So, as we reflect on this passage, let's consider what it means for us today. Are there areas of your life where God is asking you to trust his timing? Are you waiting for God to part the waters, but it feels like he's delaying? Remember that God's delays are not denials. He's preparing you for something bigger than you can see right now. We can also pray, "Lord, be always before me, consecrate me, exalt me, and manifest your love to me. Lord, lead me, and help me walk in conscious awareness of leaning upon you and trusting in you. Take the driver's seat of my life, guide me as I follow you." As you reflect on this passage, think about the places in your life where you need God to part the waters. What does it look like for you to trust his timing, even when the waters are swollen or things feel difficult? Know that God is working behind the scenes, preparing you for a victory that you may not fully see yet. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. How has God shown his faithfulness in your life through difficult times? And how are you learning to trust him more? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video as we continue this journey through the book of Joshua.